Hey there, my friends. Eric Andreas, your guitar sage here to give you a quick little lesson, if you will, on how to purchase or how to pick an electric guitar. Okay, so I get this question a lot from students, both one-on-one and within the Unstoppable Guitar System and here on YouTube and Facebook and that sort of thing. I get folks that will email me and they'll say, Eric, I need to know what kind of guitar to get, and they'll send me pictures from Amazon or wherever. And truth be told, I haven't played every guitar in the world. I've played a lot of guitars, and I've owned a lot of guitars, and obviously I own still many guitars. But this video is basically to equip you with a few tidbits of information that will help you in any scenario when you're purchasing a guitar, without a bunch of, a theory that you're going to need to understand for purchasing that guitar. Okay, so the first thing that I tell folks is we're looking for something with great sound, okay, and great has a lot of individual meaning to it, okay? So great may be great for one person and terrible for somebody else. We'll talk about that. And then also how that guitar feels. Same thing there. I get folks that ask me all the time, they say, what's the best action or what's the best setup for a guitar? Not that I'd be able to write an email that would describe that, but the question is such that it really truly can't be answered unless there's some more information given, like what is it that you're trying to do with your guitar, how do you play the guitar? It's very individualistic. So we'll talk about those things, but ultimately what this comes down to is it comes down to what can you afford. That's the first place to start. If you have a $500 budget and you're trying $5,000 guitars, you may be wasting your time. Now, not that playing different guitars, especially expensive guitars, is not a great education, because what that will do is that will allow you to see, okay, what it is that you might be purchasing when you're getting a more expensive guitar. Okay, so I did a video similar to this one on the acoustic guitar, and my mantra is the same, in that if your budget doesn't allow for it, other than just being educated on a more expensive guitar, your goal is, if you're walking into a store, to purchase, or to play everything that's within your budget, so that, one, you get the education so you can compare different guitars. If you're 16 years old and you're driving a car for the first time and you get into a sports car on a lot, you may fall in love with it, and you realize that you fell in love with it because it was the first car that you tried. Okay, similar to dating. So what you want to do is you want to try out many guitars. You want to see what it is that you like about these individual guitars, and that's going to help with your education. Okay, so say $500 is your budget and you go into a store, you're going to try every guitar that's within your budget. Okay, the things that you're going to be looking for in regards to sound are this. First off, you want to make sure that everything that you are playing through is going through the same set of variables, like you're playing it in the same room, you're playing it through the same amp, the same pedals, those sorts of things. Because what you think may be the sound of the guitar, if you're going to a different amp or a different setup, a different pedal or something like that, you may assume that that is the guitar, when in fact running through a different setup, a different amp, pedals and that sort of thing, or even playing a different song or having the tone or the volume changed on your guitar is going to change the sound immensely. So you want to keep all the variables the same when you're trying out guitars. When it comes to the actual feel of the guitar, most folks like the action, which is the distance from the strings to the neck. It's the distance this way. They typically like the action low. Okay, now that's true. The faster of a guitar player you are, you typically want that action low, because each movement that you're making, if you have to press very far down, it's going to slow you down. Whereas slide players would want the action higher, or rhythm players may want the action higher because they're hitting a lot of chords and not doing a lot of lead work. Okay, so these are all things that obviously those are things that you can adjust somewhat, but something to keep in mind when you're in the store. Another thing is, a lot of guitars are not set up properly when you go in the store. So it's always helpful to bring a guitar buddy, someone who's more seasoned than you, to go into the guitar store. Now, I do this. I've got Greg Ellis is a buddy of mine who knows guitars in regards to the way they should sound and the history of them and all that. He knows that way better than I do. And I bring him as my expert. Sometimes I'll bring this guy with me, especially when he's scratching my leg in the middle of a lesson. I'll bring him with me to try out guitars. This is Tux, by the way. So bring a seasoned buddy along with you so that you can get some different opinions about that instrument as well. How it's playing, what they're thinking of it. Have them play the guitar. Super important that you have some different ears, that you have some different opinions, and that you're playing different guitars, because without doing all of that, you're not going to have a good idea, okay? So bottom line, it comes down to budget. You must have a budget. If you don't have a budget, then you're going to be playing guitars that are outside your budget. And then ultimately, it comes down to sound. How does that guitar sound? How does that guitar feel? And it's different for every person. Don't get obsessed with the name brand. I've played Fender guitars that were wonderful, I've played Fender guitars that were terrible, and I've played no names that were wonderful and no names that were terrible. So it really depends on that individual guitar, how it was set up, and the whole 9 yards. Alright, my friends, that's it. If you need any help, or in fact if you want a lot more information about guitars, how to play them, about how to create sound, check out the Unstoppable Guitar System. Link is below. You can actually get in there for $1, and I have a whole super series in there called The Pursuit of Tone, where I do this with Greg Ellis, my guitar guru and technician who works on all my guitars and amps and that sort of thing. Check that out. Link is below. I'm Eric Andreas, your guitar sage. Don't trust the man. Spay and neuter your animals, and play your guitar. See ya.